Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to convert the subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, in a school that houses students that have lived past lives, our protagonist begins to picture his past life as a knight, holding a pink-haired girl in his arms. Opening his eyes, our protagonist witnesses a familiar face leaning in. With a headbutt, she reprimands our protagonist for slacking off. Muttering the princess's name, Sarasha, the pink girl recognizes our protagonist as Flaga, her older brother. Jumping into our protagonist's arms, Highschool Moroha states that he can't confirm or deny if they knew each other in their past lives. Just then the two witness a black-haired girl, Shizuno Urushibara, lying on the ground. Checking on her, Urushibara mistakes Moroha as someone else, kissing him. Flustered, the pink hair pulls the two away, only to run off out of frustration. With Moroha attending homeroom, he notices the pink hair in the same class, introducing herself as Ranju Satsuki. Beginning combat training, the instructor mentions that people that access their past lives are split into Shirigane, light users, or dark mages, dark arts users. As a light user himself, the instructor surrounds his body in plana, the source of light skills. Asking the students to remember their past lives, Satsuki shows off her mastery of plana. Looking towards Moroha for approval, she overhears a fellow student, Gen Isarugi, insulting the integrity of the class. Challenging the male student, Satsuki attempts to show off her speed, only to realize that she is not a match for Isarugi. With the instructor stopping the fight, Satsuki runs off. Attempting to comfort Satsuki on her loss, the two are interrupted by Urushibara embracing Moroha. With Satsuki running off once again, Moroha decides to fight to avenge Satsuki. Completely pummeled, Moroha is able to awaken, hearing Satsuki's faint voice. Equipping Saratiga, he is able to cut down Isarugi with ease, having greater speed and strength, due to his awakening. Collapsing due to exhaustion, he's greeted by an older lady, Mari Shimon, and a young girl, Maya Shimon. Glad that he's awake, Mari informs Moroha he has two past lives, having used dark arts and light ability upon awakening. With the news of Moroha housing two past lives, Izaragi Jin, the strongest in the school, offers to recruit him in Urushibara, in exchange for paying off his tuition. With both accepting, Satsuki gets jealous. Meeting Jin's team, the two understand why they're considered the Golden Generation, as their teamwork and mastery are on another level. Tired from their first training session, the two head home. On the weekends, Satsuki plans to get a gift for Moroha, begging Urushibara to chip in. Taking a break, Satsuki decides to treat Urushibara to a crepe, as it begins to rain. Suddenly, a metaphysical creature emerges from a nearby body of water. Noticing that there are helpless civilians, Satsuki dashes at the creature, whilst Urushibara supports her with dark arts spells. Being outnumbered, the two fall victim to the creature's stone curse. With their bodies turning to stone, Moroha arrives, saving them. Realizing there are too many of them, Moroha tries to remember his other past life. With encouragement from Urushibara, he is able to awaken once again. Running along the creature's bodies, he's able to pull off a powerful spell, deleting the creature's existence. Hearing of Satsuki's bravery, Jin recruits her onto the team as well. The next day, spending time in a cafe, Urushibara reveals that apart from what Moroha did yesterday, only 6 other people are able to perform such a feat. Attempting to rectify the situation, Moroha asks the bartender to serve normal tea. Just then, time freezes around him. Realizing that the British man is gone, time continues as Moroha is met with a fist, stopping in front of his face. Leaving the cafe, the British man is revealed to be Sir Edward Lampard, one of the 6 strongest in the world. Having finished training for the day, Moroha naps outside, remembering that his past self was able to cast spells that would topple nations. Waking up, he is flustered to see Urushibara beside him. Inviting him to meet her brother, the principal, the 3 chat over dinner. Offering Moroha power and status, in return for being his dog, Moroha declines Urushibara's brother's offer. Apologizing for her brother's rudeness, the two share a moment, reminiscing on their past lives. That night as Moroha heads home, he stops by a park. Calling for his stalker to come out, he's forced to trade blows with the female assassin. Besting her, he scares her off. The next day, having finished school, Moroha is greeted by Maya in his room. Officially his new roommate, Moroha has no choice but to deal with it, as Mari the headmaster has declared it so. With Urushibara and Satsuki learning of this, the two get jealous, attempting to get closer to Moroha by feeding him. As a couple days pass, Moroha and Satsuki realize that Urushibara hasn't been attending school, calling her up when they find out that her brother has sold her off to study in England. Refusing to allow this, Moroha decides to rescue her. Breaking into her brother's mansion, he offers her his help, with her accepting. Attempting to drive off, the gang are stopped by Edward and his maid. With the maid battling Urushibara and Satsuki, Moroha takes on Edward. Trading blows, Moroha is able to catch Edward off guard, casting a spell. Remembering a powerful ice dragon spell, he fires it at the shocked Edward, ending the duel. Admiring Moroha's power, Edward welcomes our protagonist as the 7th strongest person in the world. The scene ends with Moroha promising to protect Urushibara for the rest of their lives. Taking a break from training, Jin and the Golden Generation decide they need a change of scenery. Teleported to a beach, Jin allows the gang to train during the day, but have fun during the afternoon onwards. The next morning whilst training, Jin is informed that a huge monster is heading his way. Having risen from the sea, the fortress-like creatures begin to march towards the students. Knowing the creature will flatten the land, the students begin to attack. Firing magic shots from a distance, the students realize that they have little to no effect. When getting into the creature's melee range, the creature summons swarms of tiny bugs, forcing them off out of melee range. Figuring out a solution, Moroha begins carving letters into the creature. With other students fending off the summoned bugs, Moroha is able to pull off an explosive spell, covering the whole creature in flames and incinerating it. Returning to school, the trio are greeted by a transfer student from Russia, Elena Arshavina. Suspicious of Elena transferring at this time, Urushibara questions her, only for her to confess her love for Moroha, asking him out on a date. During their date, Moroha finds Elena cute, as she's trying her best to fit in and act normal. That night we see Elena spoken to by a crow, telling her to manipulate Moroha. Heading out that night, Elena is intercepted by Urushibara. Knowing that Elena is an assassin, targeting Moroha, she begins to fight Elena. Casting spells from a distance, she forces Elena to doge. Closing in completely out of options, Elena uses her sword to steal Urushibara's magical energy. Powered up, Elena is able to bring Urushibara to her knees, only to flee when security guards scare her off. Informing Moroha of Elena's sketchy past, Moroha and Satsuki visit Elena. Tending to her wounds, Elena is touched, but must continue with the mission. Having recovered, Elena asks to talk to Moroha one-on-one. Challenging him to a duel, Moroha is easily able to knock Elena down. Attempting to concede, a cat talks to her, brainwashing her to go on a rampage. With no choice, Moroha puts Elena to sleep. Attempting to track down the person who brainwashed Elena, Moroha and Edward's maid encounter some Russian criminals. Capturing and integrating multiple criminals, the two figure out that Russia must be involved. Attempting to report the information to Edward, the two are ambushed by several assailants. Attempting to overwhelm Moroha, the assailants soon retreat, realizing our protagonist is too strong. With a final trump card, the Russian representative decides to reveal herself through a mirror. Casting a powerful lightning spell, she catches Moroha off guard. Injured, Edward's maid drags Moroha's body to safety. Thanking her, Moroha makes the maid blush. Now knowing their target, they head to the Russian Lightning Queen's domain. Summoning lightning creatures, she attempts to pick away at Moroha. As he begins to tire, the queen sends in other brainwashed students. Unable to keep up with the swarm of enemies, the maid along with Elena appear. Snapping her fellow students out of their dazes, Elena is able to bring them onto her side, assisting with taking down the lightning creatures. Revealing her trump card, the Lightning Queen summons a lightning Goliath. Consuming the Goliath, the queen quivers in fear, knowing that she used all her cards. Warning to never show her face in front of him, Moroha leaves the queen alive. That night the gang rests, with the girls competing with each other, on who is more resilient and stronger to be with Moroha. Back at the academy, a huge dragon appears from the sky. With the Golden Generation attempting to fend it off, the headmaster is forced to sacrifice herself, in order to protect Maya. Picking up where the headmaster left off, Maya, with the help of Edward, is able to complete a teleportation spell, bringing Moroha to the scene. Instantly recognizing the dragon as the one that killed Satsuki in their past lives, Moroha gets overly cautious. Leaving the girls wide open, the dragon incases the girls in stone, petrifying them. Enraged, Moroha goes berserk, mindlessly slashing at the dragon. Just then, he calmed down, knowing that Satsuki and Yurushibara are okay. With all the students pulling the dragon's attention, Moroha is able to slay the creature. Thanks for watching, subscribe,